The splash of hot liquid hitting fabric cut through the grocery store chatter. Anna Haddish looked down at her shirt, now drenched in hot coffee. The liquid spread across her chest, soaking through the fabric, burning her skin. For a moment, the entire store seemed to hold its breath. The woman who had intentionally knocked the cup from the counter stood there, hand still extended, face twisted with manufactured innocence that didn't quite reach her cold eyes. Her designer handbag swung from her elbow, her silk blouse perfectly pressed, her diamonds catching the fluorescent light. "Oh my," Yoon Weong said, her voice dripping with false concern. "How clumsy of me. Perhaps if you weren't standing where you don't belong, these accidents wouldn't happen." Her daughter laughed, a high, cruel sound that made Anna's stomach turn. "Mother, you're terrible," she said, but her tone suggested approval, not reproach. Anna stood there, coffee dripping from her clothes, feeling every eye in the store on her. Phones appeared in trembling hands. Whispers started, then died. Everyone waited to see what would happen next. She'd been standing in line, minding her own business after a brutal 12-hour shift at the hospital. All she'd wanted was milk, bread, and maybe something sweet to take the edge off another night of watching people fight for their lives. Then this woman had swept in like she owned the place, cutting the line with her daughter trailing behind her like a shadow. Anna had said it politely, respectfully even. "Ma'am, it's not your turn yet." The reaction had been immediate and vicious. Weong had turned on her, eyes narrowing as they traveled from Anna's casual clothes to her dark skin to her natural hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. "How dare you speak to me?" Weong had spat. "You people need to learn your place. This is my country, not yours. You should be grateful we even let you work here." Her daughter had laughed, encouraging her mother's cruelty. Anna had kept her voice level. "Ma'am, I'm just asking you to wait your turn like everyone else." That's when Weong had reached for the coffee cup on the counter. Her hand had slipped, and that's when everything had changed. Now, standing there with hot coffee soaking through her shirt, Anna took a slow breath. 1, 2, 3. The way she did before entering a trauma bay. Then she looked down at Weong's designer handbag. Hermes, if she wasn't mistaken, probably costs a fortune. The woman had set it on the counter while she'd been accidentally destroying Anna's clothes. Anna reached out calmly and picked up the bag. "What are you doing?" Weong's voice rose sharply. "Put that down." "That's Anna looked her directly in the eyes. Then, with deliberate slowness, she turned the bag upside down. The contents spilled out. Wallet, makeup, keys, phone, all of it tumbling into the puddle of spilled coffee on the floor. The expensive leather bag followed, landing with a wet splat in the brown liquid. Gasps erupted around them. Phones came up recording everything. "Accidents happen," Anna said quietly, her voice steady as a surgeon's hand. Weong's face went from pale to white to red in the span of seconds. "Do you know who I am?" she hissed, her voice shaking with rage. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Anna set down her grocery basket and looked at the woman. Really looked at her. Saw the entitled tilt of her chin, the expectation of immediate submission, the absolute certainty that this moment would end with an apology and groveling. "No," Anna said. "And I don't care." She picked up her grocery bag, turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, Weong's voice rose to a shriek. "Security!" she screamed. "Stop her. She destroyed my property. She assaulted me. Call the police. I want her arrested." Anna kept walking, her sneakers squeaking against the linoleum floor. 2 security guards appeared, looking between Anna and Weong nervously. The crowd had their phones out, recording everything. One guard stepped forward hesitantly. "Ma'am, we need to." "I don't care what you need. Arrest her. Now. Or I'll have both of you fired and blacklisted from every establishment in this city." The guards exchanged glances, clearly torn between duty and fear. Anna stopped at the exit and turned back calmly. Her voice carried across the quiet store. "The cameras caught everything. You deliberately spilled coffee on me. You called me names. You humiliated me for asking you to follow basic courtesy. I responded in kind." She paused. "Call the police if you want. I'll wait." The store was silent. Everyone looked at Weiyang, kneeling on the floor in her expensive clothes, surrounded by the contents of her ruined designer bag. Her face purple with fury and something else. Something that looked like fear. Because the videos were already uploading. The truth was already spreading. And for once, power couldn't rewrite the narrative. Weiyang stood slowly, shaking, her hands dripping with coffee. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. The crowd stared. The cameras recorded. The moment stretched. Anna didn't wait for her response. She walked out into the night. Anna just stood her ground against the wrong woman. If you've ever had to choose between your dignity and keeping the peace, this story's for you. And before we continue, hit subscribe and like the video. Stay with me, let's see how things unfold. Now, walking to her car in the parking lot, Anna felt the adrenaline begin to fade. Her hands shook slightly as she unlocked the door. She sat in the driver's seat, closed her eyes, and took 3 deep breaths the way she did before entering a trauma bay. Her phone buzzed. A text from her colleague Minesio. Girl, you're trending. What happened? Anna opened social media and felt her stomach drop. The video was everywhere. Different angles, different accounts, but all showing the same moment. Already thousands of views. Already hundreds of comments. Who is she? That woman just did that to Yun Weiyang. She's dead. Wait, who's Yun Weiyang? You don't know? Her family basically owns half the city. This girl is finished. Anna closed the app and drove home. Whatever was coming, she'd deal with it. She'd survived worse. The hospital the next day felt different. Whispers followed Anna through the corridors. Dr. Park pulled her aside during her break. Anna, you need to be careful, he said, his voice low and urgent. That woman you crossed paths? She destroys people. I've seen it happen. Careers ended. Reputations ruined. Anna sipped her coffee. Then she'll have to ruin someone else's, Dr. Park. I'm not apologizing for defending myself. I'm not asking you to apologize. I'm telling you to watch your back. She nodded, appreciating the concern. But she couldn't live in fear. She wouldn't. Her shift blurred into the familiar rhythm of crisis and recovery. A motorcycle accident victim. A child with a severe asthma attack. An elderly man with chest pain. This was why she'd become a nurse. Not for the money or the prestige, but for these moments when skill and compassion meant the difference between life and death. During a rare quiet moment, she found herself thinking about how she'd met him. Kong Doyen had arrived on a stretcher 6 months ago, bleeding from a stab wound to his abdomen. No ID. No insurance information. Just a phone number and a name that was obviously fake. The men who'd brought him in had worn expensive suits and cold expressions. They'd tried to intimidate the staff, demanding private treatment, threatening consequences. Anna had ignored them completely. She'd assessed the wound, called for the surgical team, and started 2-4 lines with the efficiency of someone who'd seen 100 similar cases. The men shouted. She'd worked. They'd threatened. She'd saved his life. When Doyen had woken up hours later, groggy from anesthesia, the first thing he'd seen was Anna checking his vitals. You're going to live, she'd said simply. The knife missed your major organs by about 2 centimeters. You're lucky. He'd looked at her with dark, intelligent eyes. You didn't ask questions. Not my job. My job is to keep you alive. What you do with that life is your business. Something had shifted in his expression then. Respect maybe. Or surprise. Over the next week as he recovered, they talked. Not about his life or his work, but about small things. Books. Music. The best late-night food in the city. He'd been funny, surprisingly so. Thoughtful. He'd listen when she spoke, really listen like her words mattered. When he'd been discharged, she'd expected never to see him again. But 3 days later, he'd appeared at the hospital entrance with coffee. Not expensive coffee from some luxury cafe, but the cheap, strong kind from the street vendor she'd mentioned liking. Thank you, he'd said, for treating me like a person. That had been the beginning. Coffee turned into walks. Walks turned into dinners. He'd told her eventually about his work, about the world he lived in. She'd listened without judgment. My stepmother won't approve, he'd warned her one night, his hand warm in hers. She doesn't approve of anyone. We've never been on good terms. She married my father for power, and she spent years trying to control every aspect of this family. Should I be scared? Anna had asked. Most people are. I'm not most people. He'd smiled then, the rare, genuine smile that transformed his usually serious face. No, you're definitely not. Her phone buzzed. A text from Doyen. Dinner tonight? My place. She smiled and replied. See you at 8. Over dinner that evening, Doyen set down his chopsticks and took her hand. I need to ask you something, he said. There's a family dinner this weekend. I want you to come. Anna set down her bowl. Meeting the family? Meeting her mostly. My stepmother. He grimaced. I've been putting it off because she's difficult. But I want her to know about you. About us. I want to make it clear that she has no say in my life anymore. Then let's do it, Anna said. What's the worst that could happen? He laughed, but there was worry in his eyes. You'd be surprised. The mansion was intimidating. Grand gates, manicured gardens, architecture that screamed old money and older power. Doyen's hand was steady on the small of her back as they walked inside. The dinner was already in progress. Several family members sat around an enormous table, conversation polite and stiff. And at the head of the table, dressed in ivory silk and diamonds that caught the light like stars, sat Yun Weiyang. Their eyes met. Recognition slammed into both of them like a physical blow. Weiyang's face went white, then red. Her hand tightened on her wine glass. The daughter, Era, sat beside her mother, and Anna watched understanding dawn on the younger woman's face too. Doyen, Weiyang said, her voice carefully controlled. You didn't mention you were bringing a guest. I did mention it, Doyen replied, his tone pleasant but with an edge of steel underneath. I said I was bringing my girlfriend. This is Anna Haddish. Anna, this is my stepmother, Yun Weiyang, and my stepsister Kong Era. The silence was deafening. Weiyang recovered first, her politician's smile sliding into place. How interesting. And what do you do, Miss Haddish? I'm a trauma nurse at Seoul General Hospital. How noble. The word dripped with condescension. Such demanding work. I imagine it doesn't leave much time for proper socializing. Anna smiled. It leaves time for what matters. And what exactly matters to someone in your position? Saving lives. Building genuine relationships. Not wasting energy on impressing people who don't deserve it. Era choked on her water. Doyen's lips twitched with suppressed amusement. Weiyang's smile froze. Doyen, Weiyang said. Might I speak with you privately? No, Doyen replied simply. Anything you want to say, you can say here. This woman is not appropriate for this family. Why? Doyen's voice was dangerously quiet. Because she works for a living? Or because she doesn't bow to you? Because she's beneath you? Weiyang snapped, composure cracking. She doesn't understand our world, our expectations, our standards. Anna set down her chopsticks carefully. You're right about one thing. I don't understand a world where cutting grocery store lines and accidentally pouring coffee on strangers is considered acceptable behavior. The table erupted. Questions flew. Era's eyes went wide. Doyen's head snapped toward Anna. What? He asked, his voice suddenly very quiet. The kind of quiet that made the temperature in the room drop. Anna kept her gaze on Weiyang. Your stepmother and I have met before. She assaulted me in a grocery store 2 days ago. I defended myself. Apparently, that makes me unsuitable for your family. Weiyang stood abruptly. How dare you bring this up here? You destroyed my property. After you deliberately poured hot coffee on me, Anna corrected calmly. After you humiliated me and called me racist slurs for asking you to wait your turn in line, I simply returned the favor. Doyen's face had gone very still, very cold. The kind of stillness that made even Weiyang take a small step back. His eyes fixed on her with an intensity that could cut glass. You did what? His voice was soft, lethal. She was disrespectful. She needed to be taught her place. Her place. Doyen stood slowly, and the movement had a coiled violence to it. Every person at the table went silent. Anna saved my life. She's one of the best trauma nurses in this city. She treats everyone with equal respect, from homeless patients to politicians. She is my girlfriend, the woman I love. And you think she needs to be taught her place? Doyen, you don't understand. No, the single word cut through her excuse like a blade. You don't understand. You've spent years thinking you're untouchable, that your connections and your money give you the right to treat people however you want. Weiyang's laugh was sharp and nervous. You think you can threaten me? I have resources you can't imagine. I can destroy her. One phone call and her career is over. Her visa revoked. Her life in this country finished. Doyen's smile was terrifying in its coldness. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a deadly whisper that somehow carried through the silent room. Then make the call. But understand something. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. You've operated in my father's shadow for so long, you forgot that I built my own empire. One you know nothing about. One that doesn't play by society rules. Anna touched his arm gently. Doyen. But he wasn't finished. His eyes never left Weiyang's face, which had gone pale. Those connections you're so proud of? Half of them answer to me first. The hospital board? The charitable foundations you sit on? The business partners you think will help you? He straightened. If you make one move against Anna, one complaint, one whisper, one attempt to use your influence to hurt her, I will dismantle everything you've built. Not just socially, financially, completely. The room was completely silent. I've been patient with you because of my father, because family peace meant something to him. But you put your hands on the woman I love. You tried to humiliate her for the crime of having dignity. His voice was ice. That patience is gone. Weiyang's hands trembled. You wouldn't dare. Try me. 2 words. Final as a death sentence. Make one move against her. Just one. And I'll make sure every person in your social circle knows exactly who you are. Every charity you're involved with. Every board you sit on. Every friend you have. They'll all know what kind of person hides behind that expensive perfume and designer clothes. He took Anna's hand. We're leaving. As they walked toward the door, Doyen paused, looking back at Weiyang one last time. I'm choosing her. Openly. Completely. And if you can't accept that with respect, then you'll learn to accept it with fear. They left. The door closed behind them with a soft click that felt like a hammer falling. In the car, silence stretched between them for a long moment. Doyen's hands were tight on the steering wheel, his jaw clenched. You threatened her, Anna said quietly. I warned her. His voice was rough with emotion. There's a difference. Will she listen? Doyen's expression was grim. People like her never listen. They test boundaries. They push. They think they're untouchable. He finally looked at her. But when she makes her move, and she will, I'll be ready. I don't want you to have to choose between your family and me. I already chose. He pulled her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. The moment you walked into my life, Anna, I chose. She just needs to understand that my choice is final. Anna squeezed his hand. What happens now? Now we wait. She'll make her move. And when she does, I'll show her exactly what happens when you come after the people I love. But 2 days later, Anna's supervisor called her into the office. Dr. Cho looked uncomfortable, unable to meet her eyes. Anna, there's been a complaint filed against you. Multiple complaints, actually. About unprofessional conduct, negligence, improper treatment protocols. Anna's stomach dropped. From whom? Anonymous sources. But they're detailed. Specific. Coming through the parent company's international division. Someone with serious influence is pushing this. Dr. Cho finally looked up. I'm sorry, Anna. You're being suspended pending investigation. Anna felt cold wash over her. Weiyang had found a way around Doyen's protections. Doyen was furious when she told him. She'd never seen him like this, pacing his apartment like a caged animal, phone in hand, making call after call. She used the Singapore office, he said, voice tight with barely controlled rage. Connections through her family's pharmaceutical holdings. It's a blind spot in my network. It'll take me a few days to unravel. Doyen, breathe, Anna said, crossing to him. We'll figure this out together. She's destroying you because of me. Because you're with me. I've survived worse than Yoon Weong. I'll survive this too. He pulled her close, holding her tightly. I love you. And I swear to you she will pay for this. Over the next 48 hours Anna watched him work. Calls to Singapore, Tokyo, Hong Kong. Favors called in. Pressure applied. She saw the full extent of his network, the web of influence and power that stretched across Asia and beyond. Then everything changed. Anna was at home when her phone exploded with calls. She answered Doyen's call first. It's Era, he said, his voice tight with controlled panic. She collapsed. Some kind of complication from an old condition. They're at Seoul General. Anna, she's dying. Anna's training kicked in immediately. What are her symptoms? He rattled them off. Anna's mind raced through possibilities, landing on one rare but treatable condition she'd seen only twice before. Who's treating her? Everyone. Every specialist they could find. But nothing's working. Anna closed her eyes. I'm coming. Anna, you're suspended. I'm coming. The hospital was chaotic when she arrived. Dr. Park saw her, eyes widening. Anna, you can't be here. What's her status? Critical. We've tried everything. Nothing's working. He ran a hand through his hair. There's something we're missing. I know what it is. Let me see her chart. You're suspended. And she's dying. Do you want to save her or not? He hesitated, then handed over the tablet. Anna scanned the information. It's thoracic outlet syndrome with vascular complications. The symptoms are mimicking other conditions. You need to decompress immediately and stabilize the subclavian vessels. That's incredibly rare. I've seen it twice. Both times delay was fatal. Dr. Park, you know me. You know my work. Trust me. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Prep her too. I'll get the team. I'm scrubbing in. Anna. She dies without this. And I'm the only one here who's done it before. Outside the Weong paced like a caged animal. When she saw Anna, her face twisted with rage and something else. Something that looked like fear. What are you doing here? She spat. Saving your daughter, Anna replied simply. I don't want you anywhere near her. She's dying. Anna's voice cut through the hysteria. The condition she has is rare. I've treated it successfully before. The doctors here haven't seen it. If I don't help, she'll be dead within the hour. Weong's face crumpled. The mask of power and control shattered. Tears streamed down her face. Please. The word was barely a whisper. Please save her. Anna looked at this woman who tried to destroy her life, and saw only a mother facing the worst nightmare imaginable. I will, Anna said quietly. Because I'm a nurse. Not because of who you are or what you've done, but because it's my job to save lives. She walked into the OR without looking back. The surgery was delicate, precise, demanding every bit of skill and experience Anna had accumulated over years of trauma work. 3 hours later she emerged, exhausted but satisfied. She's stable, Dr. Park said, gripping her shoulder. You did it. Weong was on her feet immediately. Is she? She's going to live, Anna said. The next 24 hours are critical, but she should make a full recovery. Weong collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Hours later, when Era was awake, Anna checked on her. The young woman's eyes were red, her face pale, but she was alive. Miss Haddish, Era said weakly. My mother told me what happened. What she did to you. What I did. Anna adjusted the 4-drip, saying nothing. I laughed at you, Era continued, tears sliding down her face. In the grocery store. I thought power meant being cruel. And now I know I was wrong. Era's voice cracked. You could have let me die. After everything we did to you. No, Anna said firmly. I couldn't have. Because that's not who I am. Era looked toward where her mother sat outside. I heard people talking. About what she did to you. Everyone hates us now. And I understand why. Anna pulled up a chair. Era, you're very young. You have time to become someone better than what your mother taught you to be. But you have to choose it. Every day. How do I start? By learning from this. by understanding that dignity isn't something you take from others. It's something you give. As Anna stood to leave, Era's voice stopped her. Thank you for treating me like I was worth saving. Everyone is worth saving, Era. Remember that. Outside, Weiyang waited. She looked smaller, somehow diminished. When she saw Anna, she stood and bowed deeply. Formally. The kind of bow that acknowledged complete defeat and profound respect. Miss Haddish, her voice broke. I owe you everything. You owe me nothing, Anna said quietly. I didn't save your daughter for you. I saved her for her. I tried to destroy you. I used every resource, every connection. And you still saved her. Yes. Why? Anna met her eyes. Because someone has to be better. Someone has to choose grace over revenge, compassion over cruelty. I chose to be that person. I will withdraw all complaints. Restore your position. Publicly apologize. Whatever you need. I need you to understand something, Anna said. I didn't defend myself for an apology. I didn't save Era for gratitude. I did both because they were right. You don't get to take credit for my choices. I understand. The fallout was swift. Chairman Kong called an emergency family meeting. Anna was invited. The older man looked at her with an assessing gaze that reminded her of his son. Miss Haddish, he said, you saved my daughter's life after my wife tried to destroy yours. He turned to Weiyang. You have embarrassed this family. You have abused the power given to you. You put your hands on an innocent woman. You attempted to destroy her career. And your actions nearly cost me my daughter. Chairman, I'm not finished. The words cracked like a whip. You will be removed from all board positions. Effective immediately. Your charitable appointments are rescinded. Your access to family resources is restricted. You will no longer represent this family in any official capacity. Your pride almost killed my daughter. You will never wield power in my name again. Weiyang's hands trembled. No shouting. No drama. Just exile. Chairman Kong turned back to Anna. As for you, Miss Haddish, I owe you a debt of gratitude. My son has made his choice clear. He chooses you. And after meeting you, understanding what you've endured with grace, I support that choice completely. Days later, Era sought Anna out at the hospital before leaving for London. I wanted to say goodbye, Era said. And thank you. You're going to do well. I told my mother I need to figure out who I am without her influence. Era smiled sadly. Will you forgive me? For laughing that day. Anna considered the question. I'll give you the chance to prove you've changed. Forgiveness is something you earn through action, not words. That's fair. Era bowed. Thank you, Miss Haddish. For the lesson I'll spend the rest of my life learning. The hospital reinstated Anna with a formal apology. Weiyang's fall from grace was spectacular and quiet. Invitations dried up. Friends became scarce. Her name disappeared from elite circles. But the harshest punishment came from Era herself, who refused to attend events with her mother, quietly creating distance. Weeks later, Anna and Doyen sat on his balcony. The city spread out below them. My father wants to have dinner with us next week, Doyen said. As a family. And how do you feel about that? Ready. For the first time, I feel like I can be myself with my family. Be with the person I love without hiding or compromising. He took her hand. You showed me what it means to stand firm. What happens now? Now we build our life. On our terms. Not hers, not my father's, not anyone else's. Ours. That sounds perfect. He pulled her close. You could have left me when things got difficult. Most people would have. I'm not most people. No, he agreed, smiling. You're the woman who served back. Who saved lives. Who chose grace when revenge would have been easier. You already knew that. You just needed someone to remind you. I love you, Anna Haddish. He kissed her passionately and she smiled. Below them, the city hummed with life. Millions of people, millions of stories, millions of moments of choice between cruelty and kindness. Anna had made her choice. She'd chosen dignity. She'd chosen love. She'd chosen to be better than the circumstances demanded. And power, for all its bluster and threat, had bowed. Months later, Anna heard Weong had started volunteering at a women's shelter, quietly and without publicity. Era sent postcards from London with updates about her studies, her growing understanding of who she wanted to be. People could change. Not always. Not easily. But sometimes. Anna chose to believe in those sometimes. As for her and Doyen, they built their future brick by brick. They faced his family together. They navigated her career together. They created a life based on mutual respect, and the kind of love that didn't demand submission but celebrated strength. On quiet nights, Anna sometimes thought about that moment in the grocery store. The coffee, the choice, the aftermath. She didn't regret the stand she'd taken, the refusal to be diminished, because some things were worth fighting for. Dignity, respect, love, the right to exist without apology. She'd fought. She'd won. Not through revenge or cruelty but through grace. And that, she thought as Doyen pulled her closer under the stars, was the sweetest victory of all. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you that grace and dignity are strengths, not weaknesses, then do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment sharing your thoughts or a time when you had to stand up for yourself. And smash that like button to help this story reach others who need to hear it. Because stories like these matter. They remind us that we all have the power to choose kindness, to choose strength, to choose grace, even when the world demands we bow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are worth standing up for. Always. See you in the next one.